Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Superhuman Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Dr. Matt Accurso, and I have a celebrity nutritionist on the call today. You know, I will say this about this young lady. She is changing a lot of lives and transforming a lot of lives with her book that just came out, Body Love, and also with her caring, tender heart. She sees celebrities, she sees, regular people that are trying to scrape, 2 dimes together in order to see her, maybe have been following her through her Instagram or her Facebook, but she has a huge following of people that are essentially getting their lives changed by the information that she's putting out. As all of you know out there, I pride myself in having people on the show that not only are delivering the most cutting edge information in our world today, but also are doing it with a loving heart. And that is very, very rare nowadays. It's out there, and I hope that I can give all of you out there a little piece of it through the shows that we do. But today we have on Kelly LeVeque, and Kelly essentially just amazed me through her amazing videos that she's putting out. Like I said, she's seeing celebrities out there changing their lives and just putting out amazing content that is allowing people to empower themselves and take back their health and truly understand what it means to be a vibrant person. So without further ado, Kelly LeVeque, thanks for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me and for being flexible with my inability to do video today.
Absolutely. Well, in our future, there will be video. For now, we will take audio. I want to start out by, first just kind of delving into a little bit about who you are. You've had this amazing journey of going from, setting yourself up and setting your brand up and now getting carried into, the celebrity world and writing your own book and, being the nutritionist that you are. What brought you to where you are now?
That's a great question. I would say passion. I've always been really passionate about health and nutrition since I was a freshman in high school. And I talked about this on a number of podcasts and people interviewing me about how did I even get where I am today? But it's funny. It was my freshman year. Health was my favorite class in high school. And then I went to USC for my undergraduate degree. And my favorite class at USC was Nature of Human Health and Disease. And by the way, both of these classes were the best grades I ever got in high school and college, but had no plans to be pre-med or anything like that. It's funny, but looking back, being a registered dietitian wasn't really attractive to me because I didn't want to work in a hospital or a dialysis center and tell people to drink Ensure to stay alive. But it really sparked a passion in wanting to know more and to gain the knowledge to really help myself and others. I mean, I probably have read over 100 diet books. And what was interesting is it wasn't like I would read them to do them. I would read them for the scientific information that they were sharing. Like, what studies were they talking about in Atkins and why that worked? Or what studies were they talking about in the Mediterranean diet and why would that work? And so it was always kind of taking me back to the biology. I've always loved math and science. I mean, I can't spell. My grammar is horrendous, but it's
right here.
The other side of my brain is working on overdrive. So I graduated from USC and started an 8-year career in cancer and genetics. That was really attractive to me at the time because I was going to be basically teaching oncologists, radiation oncologists, medical oncologists, and breast surgeons how to use new genetic technology in their practice. This is stuff they weren't taught in their fellowship or their residency. It was stuff that they had to listen to me to learn about because the technology had come out and been proven after they had gone to school. So it was fun to be in a place where I could take really, really dense information and make it super accessible and easy to understand and make people feel confident in it. And I know that's what I do in my practice every single day. It's not a PDF of what you can and cannot eat. It's not, it's going, okay, you're hearing about bulletproof coffee. You're hearing about turmeric and, the active ingredient curcumin. You're hearing about, cutting out hormones and antibiotics in your protein. I want to take it back to the science and give people the tools to understand on a biological level, how do you balance your blood sugar? How do you decrease inflammation? Like, how are you getting your body the essential amino acids and fatty acids that it needs to perform? And, you know, how do we keep a gut microbiome healthy and all that probiotic bacteria in your gut? And it's just, instead of being overwhelmed and trying to pick like one plan that works for them, it's like using these tools in your toolbox and understanding how to use them because you understand the biology that's at work behind them. And I think that is just like, education is power, and it's super freeing for people. And they never need to live in a place of like, and now I'm full blown keto, and now I'm intermittent fasting. It's like, all these things can just be tools for you.
Yeah.
And when do you need them? And like, do you know yourself well enough to say like, how do I respond the best? And like, if I'm intermittent fasting until 2 p.m., am I the person that's going to binge at the cafeteria at lunch, or do I feel calm and relaxed to make a healthy choice? Because, you know, if you're binging at the caf, like, that's probably not the best option for you to be an intermittent faster. So yeah, that's a long story short. I get to do what I want now.
All that to say, I get to do what I want, right? Yeah. I totally get it. You're speaking a lot of truth right now to all of us. You know, I think we've all been there at one point in our lives where, you know, we're like, you know, what do I do? You know, I need someone in my life to be a true north. And I think now more than ever, we have all this information that we have access to, yet it seems like nutrition, health, all of that can be seemingly confusing. You know, I think, you know, you and I know that when you have the right resources, it's very simple and it can be very direct. And a lot of individuals out there, you know, I know you see clients, I see clients, and I think a common denominator is they're just like, okay, just, you know, tell me what to do and I'll do it. You know, what's the best diet? You know, what's the best supplement? What's the best morning strategy? All these things, we want to know what's the best. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, you know, asking yourself, how are you going to respond? Because we're not cookie cutter creations. You know, we have certain things that we respond to genetically, and we're all made up differently. And I think that's so key, knowing how you react in certain situations. Like you may not react well, you know, to doing intermittent fasting in the morning. You may want to do it later on in the day, or, you know, pulling a workout first thing in the morning. You may want to do it in the afternoon. Things like this, I think, are so important to talk through, because oftentimes we get caught up in the protocol and the strategies, and we don't really listen to our bodies. So springboarding off of that, do you have a certain, specifically for yourself, do you have a certain diet that you gravitate towards? And can you explain, you know, why you do, and do you teach other people, you know, kind of a similar technique, like gravitate towards what you essentially, how you operate, how do you best serve yourself?
Yeah. Well, I just wrote a book called Body Love, and it explains kind of how I like to eat. I come from a place of light structure. I really thrive in it. I feel like my clients thrive in it. I've seen too many people use strict structure and rules around food that ends up where perfection becomes the enemy of good, and they don't do one thing right, and then all of a sudden they're spiraling into pizza, pasta, beer, donuts, and then the weekend, and then they come back to me on Monday and they're like, So for me personally, I just call it the Fab Four. And it's just 4 things that I'm looking for on my plate at any given meal. And that's protein, source of protein, a source of fat, fiber, and green. So that's the Fab Four. And I created this like program and light structure because what I wanted to do was basically elongate a blood sugar curve, and I wanted to make sure that every single hunger hormone in your body was regulated. And so I did the research and understanding what exactly turned off hunger hormones. Protein is a really good example of hunger hormone modulator. It does a really good job of turning off hunger. It specifically modulates a hormone called neuropeptide Y, which, you know, if you're not having enough protein, you're going to crave carbohydrates and sugar because of the hormone neuropeptide Y. And then you have fat, and fat does a really good job of making you feel satisfied or creating that satiety in the body. And that is coming from a hormone called cholecystokinin. So the minute you add fat to, say, like a chicken and broccoli meal, instead of just having chicken and broccoli, you add pesto or a really good olive oil or avocado, then all of a sudden you're releasing cholecystokinin, and it's really calming to the body. And protein and fat together, when eaten together, it's going to slow down the digestion, right? So fat to anything is going to slow down digestion and elongate a blood sugar curve. It's going to blunt a blood sugar curve, which is really cool. So I love fat. Fat is your friend. Fat increases insulin sensitivity. It helps prevent metabolic syndrome when you're eating those healthy unoxidized fats, which I love. And then fiber and greens. And this is just reminding people that, especially in a place of like Atkins, low carb, Mediterranean, keto, especially, like I find clients getting excited about these type of things and completely forgetting to have any type of vegetable or green thing on their plate.
Yeah.
And so the fiber and greens is as simple as like, okay, like let's say you're having a grass-fed burger with avocado and there's your protein, there's your fat. Like, can you get some lettuce wrapped around that? Can you have a side salad? Can you put, even just like chopped cucumber on the side of your plate or some roasted broccoli? Like, I'm looking for those water-soluble vitamins and phytonutrients that are in those, non-starchy vegetables and leafy greens that really, the absorption of that is increased almost 300% when you add fat to your plate. So I just think like there's a beauty in sitting down to a meal, very calm way, like sitting down, having a little bit of protein, fat, and fiber. And it doesn't mean, something green. It doesn't mean that you're paleo. It doesn't mean that you're vegetarian. Like, this is a life structure that I use with every client, no matter what their lifestyle is, because it really helps to elongate your blood sugar curve and turn off those hunger hormones. And then you're not fighting not to eat. You're getting these hours, 4 to 6 hours between meals where you feel fueled. You're not having cravings for sugar. You're not crashing. Your blood sugar is not crashing. You are really getting like the most nourishing foods for your body. And, of course, when people say, oh, well, protein, fat, fiber, and greens, that sounds like low carb paleo. And it's like, well, no, I mean, there are days when I have vegetarian-based meals and I use beans. There are days when I add a starchy carbohydrate, a cycle of starchy carbohydrates into my diet based on my like, cravings for that, or like workouts, or just going out to dinner on a Friday night and being able to live my life. But I really want people to understand like how starchy carbohydrates and how sugar and processed carbohydrates work in your body, because, everyone's walking around in this like pre-diabetic state and this hyperinsulin type of a state. And they just don't realize that, for some people that have an inability to clear blood sugar, you can have insulin from one meal lasting for 6 to 8 hours. And that's an anabolic storage hormone that's telling your body to store, sugar, and you're not in a fat burning state. And, the opposite of insulin is glucagon, which is this amazing hormone that tells your body to burn fat for fuel, which lowers bad cholesterol, and we're never ever getting the chance to use it because we're just having gluten-free avocado toast for breakfast and quinoa on our salad for lunch and sweet potatoes at dinner, and we're quote unquote eating healthy. And it's like, you just have to have a break from, and it's not a break from the glucose because your body knows what to do. Like, you can shove sugar in your bloodstream all day long and you have this amazing process where your pancreas releases insulin and insulin picks up that sugar and puts it away. It's like for a lot of us, we were all athletes, and that sugar stores in your liver first, your muscle second. That's carbo loading, right? That's getting ready to go like run a marathon or play a soccer game. But we're not training the way we used to when we were kids, and we're sitting a lot, and it's not the glucose. And the glucose is an issue, but it's the insulin that we're just, they're testing people, and it's like, you should have, if you were like to put it on a number scale, it would be like a 25 milligrams per deciliter. And we're finding that clients have 125 to 150 milligrams per deciliter of insulin in their bloodstream at any given time. It's just 5 to 6 times normal levels from 20 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. It is an epidemic right now, just with all the crazy food choices that we have, even walking into a grocery store. I know it can be very intimidating for people, thinking, okay, I'm going to go and just kind of like wander around the grocery store. Whenever I do shopping tours with people, I always say, do the horseshoe. You've probably heard of that, where you're hitting the produce, right? And then you're going. So basically all the living foods are on the outside of the store for the most part. And all your kind of boxed foods and dead foods are in the center of the store. And I feel like, that really, if we can give people markers to know, okay, rule of thumb, like if I'm going to eat sugary foods and I'm going to really indulge, like do it around the time where, you can burn some fat and you can optimize brain health so that you can burn off some of that glucose in the blood. I think it's so key to have those pillars in your life. For you specifically, Kelly, do you make sure that you're in ketosis? Do you make sure you're keto adapted? Do you look at your blood? Would you prick your finger? Like what things do you do to know that you're burning fat, building muscle, kind of heading the right direction with your own health?
Yeah. So I do have a glucometer and a ketometer, and I people who test for ketones, a lot of times they'll use breath, they'll use urine, and I'm just a blood person. I'm not afraid of needles. And it's something that I don't do every day, but a good example is, let's say I did go away for a weekend and my husband and I went to go to a big wedding, or like, we were wine tasting or something. I know that I'm going to come back with elevated fasting glucose. And so when you talk about that range of where you want people to be, it's somewhere between 75 and 85 on a glucometer. And so I know I'm going to be elevated. I might have a fasting glucose of 90 or 100, or, and for some of my clients who have insulin resistance, they might have like, pre-diabetic levels above 100, and what you really want is to learn how to bring that down and to realize that going for these big weekends, I have clients who are like, yeah, but I'm like back on track by Monday. I'm like, actually, your blood sugar isn't back on track until Thursday. Yeah. You're carrying this around with you, and this inflammation and this elevated blood sugar. And so if I want to kind of challenge myself and check in, I will test my fasting blood sugar and I'll eat the Fab Four low carb version for a couple of days and make sure that my fasting blood sugar is below 85, and I'm working out and I'm sleeping well. And then if I really want to push myself and I'm like, okay, I want to lean up, I might go to a place of trying to get myself into ketosis. I only maybe do that once or twice a year, maybe for 2 to 3 weeks. I like to think of it as like a reset, but that's because for most of the year, I'm pretty consistent around keeping my blood sugar really balanced. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I mean, you can go to a doctor, they'll tell you your blood sugar is fine. You could be a female or a male with a fasting blood sugar of 95, and anywhere between 90 and 100 fasting blood sugar marker, you've just doubled your chances for Alzheimer's. And it's like, that's happening a decade before you ever see signs and symptoms of brain breakdown. But Alzheimer's is type 3 diabetes. It's your body and brain is being broken down, and the metabolism and the management of this sugar that you're eating constantly 24/7 and having the inability to clear is going to cause breakdown, whether that's, leading towards prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, or brain breakdown like through Alzheimer's or something like that. I think it's just really important to know that you can't just blow it out until you're 40 or 50 and then go like, shoot, I have heart disease and I have pre-diabetic markers and I'm, genetically disposed to Alzheimer's and I've had elevated blood sugar for 10 years. I really want people to take charge of it now and have real markers. And so that's what I use. Like, it's not that I'm testing my blood sugar every day. I might actually, occasionally I'll do post-meal testing, 2 hours after a meal to understand what, say, like a restaurant in my area that I eat out with friends a lot at, the meal that I get there, like, what is it really doing to my blood sugar? I think people are surprised, especially in Los Angeles, like Cafe Gratitude, R&D Kitchen. These are all like organic, gluten-free, vegan restaurants, but I leave feeling super bloated and really tired. And a lot of times my blood sugar is super elevated. So it's interesting, I think, depending on the client. And when I say the Fab Four, I'm talking about it being awesome for vegans and vegetarians too, because it's just some understanding around like, oh, I really should be eating vegetables if I'm vegan or vegetarian, and I should be adding healthy fats to really create that satisfaction. And where can I get some good source protein, whether that's nut and seed-based protein or like a little bit of lentils or something like that. So it really, I think people can assume that a lifestyle diet can fix all their problems, but it's just your biology and the science that really, I think, sets people free.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. What do you test your blood glucose with?
I have the ketometer that does glucose and ketones, but if I'm not using that, I use the Ultra Mini.
Okay. Yeah.
You can get it at if I look on, let's see if my internet works from my car right now. It's One Touch Ultra Mini, and I got it at CVS, and you can get it on Amazon. It's literally a $20 monitor. I mean, you could spend a little more, and people will say, might get better testing, but it's worked really well for me in the past. And I think it's more successful than a scale, because I can tell you if your blood sugar is elevated and you don't bring it down, it's going to be 2 or 3 days and you're going to see your scale go up a pound or 2.
Yeah.
And the same goes with the other way. Like if you're frustrated and the scale isn't moving and you're feeling puffy, your body composition isn't changing, and I see elevated fasting blood sugar, and then we get you to a place where all of a sudden that fasting blood sugar is where it should be, somewhere between 75 and 85, we're going to see the scale start to move. And it's like, these are little indicators of like where it might go and what might happen, and if someone has elevated blood sugar and we're having a hard time getting it under control, there might be, they might need some support, like blood sugar supporting type supplements like B vitamins and things of that nature. So that kind of directs me. If I'm not seeing results with someone, a glucometer can easily direct me in where we might see changes and what we might do to supplement someone a little bit more appropriately.
Hey there, Superhuman. Dr. Matt here, interrupting this incredible show, and I don't feel guilty one bit. Okay, maybe a tad, because this is your sacred podcast time. I'm about to make your life 10 times easier and way more delicious with 2 hacks I use all the time. I'm actually using them both right now, actually. One is on my finger, and the other is about to go in my belly. I wear a self-quantification ring that helps me track things that are really important for keeping me running superhuman style. Things like sleep, heart rate variability, respiration for relaxing during stressful events like AT&T keeping me on hold for 20 minutes, and even distance for my triathlete beach runs. It's called the Oura Ring, and the best part about it is I don't have to wear toxic, brain-interrupting Bluetooth on me all day like most self-tracking wearables. Oh no. All the technology is packed into one little ring, and it's able to monitor all these cool stats without full-time Bluetooth. Best part is I wake up, turn Bluetooth on for 5 minutes, and it downloads it to an app on my phone, and I go about my day not having to worry about Bluetooth all over me. One of the great perks about the ring is it's actually cool. It looks good. Making a scene in 2017, if you know what I mean. Hope you laughed at that. You can get the free shipping right now on one of these bad boys by going to Oura, OURA.com, picking out your perfect ring, which comes in pure white, stealth black, or the so manly matte black. At checkout, type in coupon code ACCURSO. That's like my last name, ACCURSO, ACCURSO, and receive free shipping for a limited time. Now, do you want to know what's in my other hand? The other hack I'm doing is I'm sipping a Superhuman protein shake that I've upgraded with proteolytic enzymes called Masszymes. If you want the secret to getting every last drop of nutrients into those shredded muscles, then you need to be taking this stuff. It breaks down my protein shake beforehand and allows my body to triple the results I get from a workout. You can get 10% off at biooptimizers.com. That's BIOPTIMIZERS, biooptimizers.com. And you can type in Superhuman 10 at checkout. So biooptimizers.com, Superhuman 10 at checkout for 10% off of any and all of their amazing products. Hey, thanks for letting me interrupt the episode. Now back to the show. I'm all about testing the blood too. I know that some people, they're like, oh, I can't stand the side of my blood, or I can't stand to prick myself. And some people use the Ultradex. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's for a breath. It's basically testing you're looking at ketones through breath. And
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a firm believer.
Ketonics does that.
Ketonics. Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, I'm a firm believer in blood. I think that if you're going to do it, you might as well do the best of the best. And I think looking at blood is definitely the way to go. So when it comes to productivity and energy, Kelly, because I know you deal with high performers. Some of your clients are Jessica Alba, you see Emmy Rossum, Chelsea Handler, just to name a few. And you deal with people that are constantly having to perform at really high levels. These are women who are going out there and, just driving as hard as they possibly can, and sometimes pulling, 60, 70 hour weeks. Give me some pointers on how you coach people to have more energy when it just seems like, some people just are like, I don't have the time to like stop and actually breathe and let alone like pay attention to my blood glucose and actually, look at my greens. Like I'm just, I'm flying all over the place and I'm eating trans fats and all this stuff. Like what are some things people can do to just kind of like get those moments in their week to focus on their energy?
Yeah, well, there's a perfect example. So I'm working, all of those women lead very fast-paced lifestyles, but what kind of comes to mind for me are two other clients that I've been working with, Jamie Alexander. She does a lot of fight scenes, and Jennifer Gardner, who is preparing for the Peppermint movie. Both of these women have to be, hanging out of 2-story buildings and shooting 16-hour days, and they're shooting into the early morning, 2, 3 in the morning. The circadian rhythm is really messed up. That's the perfect example of someone I wouldn't have intermittent fast.
Yeah.
I actually like to use food and fuel as a way to calm their body. And I would be really particular about allowing them to have caffeine. So I'm looking for ways to prevent adrenaline and cortisol from flooding their system any more than it already is. And I'm looking for ways to really calm their body through food. And so one of the tools that all of these clients use, and Jamie Alexander works on blind spot. She literally has to carry like machine guns and shoot them, and then like her cortisol is off the charts.
Yeah.
So I always have them use what I call the Fab Four smoothie. So I think the thing that I think really kind of put me on the map was the smoothie formula, and it uses the Fab Four, right? So you pick a protein powder, whether that's collagen or organic pea or kind of whatever fits your lifestyle, but you're looking for a clean, minimalist type of a protein powder, not an all-in-one, not fortified with vitamins, minerals, all of these protein powders. You really just are looking for protein, and you can build the smoothie with like real whole foods. And you're putting a fat in that, like you can put avocado, almond butter, peanut butter, kind of whatever floats your boat, a fiber, chia, flax, acacia fiber, something to thicken that shake up and make it easy to have on the go. Handful of spinach and almond milk, and you blend it up. So you'll notice that I don't add fruit. I have recipes that add fruit, and I limit people to 1/4 a cup of fruit because I want the smoothie to more elongate your blood sugar curve, turn off hunger hormones, and last than I do want it to be this massive blood sugar spike and crash. I don't also want to give you a bunch of fructose. And so that was kind of like this thing that I started using with clients and had a lot of success with. And also was my way of blowing the whistle, like, hey, Jamba Juice is basically a bottle of rosé. And even the healthiest smoothie spots here in Los Angeles, even the Whole Foods, even, here I'm thinking like Creation, Fresh Juicery, all of these like fad, exciting, this is the new thing type of smoothie places. I go in and I'm like agave, coconut sugar, bananas, dates, granola. It's really just an excuse to eat a bunch of sugar, and it's annoying.
It really is, and it's crazy because I have, a few clients in the LA area, but it's everywhere. But it's really popular. I guess the farther west you go, it just seems like, all those shops start popping up left and right. And I've had a couple clients that have just been like, yeah, I'm doing this great juice fast. And I was like, okay, can you take pictures of what's in the juice for me? Because I have a lot of them just take pictures instead of writing it down. And their juice will consist of like 75% apples and like one little leaf of kale. And they're like, yeah, this is kale juice. And I'm like, no, that's actually a sugar bomb just waiting to explode in your body. And it's really sad because you have these places, touting health, and touting like juice and detox and cleanse, but you really do have to pay attention to what's being put in there, because once again, like the healthiest of juices and foods can be spiking your insulin through the roof. And that's why you don't have the energy, and you're crashing midday. So you're exactly right. I'm totally on board with that.
Yeah. I'm glad we're on the same page. I think it's pretty easy because a lot of these clients are either in a hotel room, and so it becomes something where they pack a mini bullet and they have their protein powder, their, almond butter packets, or if they like avocado, then they literally call down to room service and they're like, I want a plate of spinach and, half an avocado and some lemon sent to my room with ice water. And it's like,
yep.
We makeshift it when we have to. A lot of them are on set somewhere or, are able to make their smoothie at home. And it's just 2 minutes of life. Most of my clients report not feeling hungry for about 6 hours, which is really surprising because, well, it's not surprising to me. It's surprising to them because they're coming from a place of like having a scrambled egg with their kids and I'm like, that is 6 grams of protein, guys. Like no one's going to be full on that. It's filling the very small corner of your stomach. There's no stretching going on. Like you're not feeling that fullness. And, the fiber and greens part of the Fab Four is really the whole point of that, not only to get you that, like those anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory phytochemicals and all those nutrients and vitamins, but it's really to stretch your stomach. You have stretch receptors in your stomach that really calm a hunger hormone called ghrelin. And that's the one that screams at us to like be a gorilla and eat all day long and like keep reaching for food. And so I really want to give them the tools so that they get to lunch, if the lunch is in 4 or 5 hours and they're really not feeling full or really not feeling hungry, they're not in a place to make bad choices. And so many times I would have clients, and it's fine if you're not a breakfast person, we talk about that, we work around that, but I'm fine with that as long as the lunch doesn't suffer. If all of a sudden you're eating so much food between, 3 p.m. when you get home or when you start snacking all the way until 10 p.m., like it's not great for your circadian rhythm. It's not great for, you're going to put weight on, you're backloading all your calories. It's not the time when you're the most insulin sensitive. It's coming off of the heels of poor eating earlier. And so we kind of work around like, what type of person are you and what can we do? But the smoothie is such a tool that so many of my clients use, and they don't use it 24/7. I mean, people go in and out of it based on the weather, based if it's freezing, smoothie might not feel and sound right for people, but just having that Fab Four and going like, okay, if I don't want the smoothie, like, can I have some eggs, avocado, and spinach? And what do I need? Like, I'm not going to be afraid of having 2 to 3 eggs or, even 4, depending on who I am. And I'm not going to start ditching the egg yolks because I'm worried about cholesterol. I mean, it's just all about like getting them the science so they feel calm and relaxed to fuel. And I think there's just such a fear in Los Angeles and all over where people are afraid to eat too many calories. They're afraid they're going to gain weight. They're afraid fat's going to make them fat. I mean, we're working against really old narratives that are being perpetuated by people who are graduating out of traditional systems who are using old science. So it's frustrating, but I beat my little drum in my corner and I try to bring people over.
No, and we need more of that. You're right. Even, I mean, as far as we've come within the research in the fields of science that are proving these things over and over again, we still have, like you said, these old narratives that are speaking in the back of our heads that say, that fat makes you fat. Like that crazy thing that came out with coconut oil and how they were trying to vilify coconut oil for so long and saying it was a saturated fat. And my number one thing I always come back to with and I know you probably have things that you kind of teach from as well, but I always say, the first thing that a baby consumes when they come out of the womb is breast milk, which is a saturated fat. I was like, saturated fat is not bad, right? I mean, babies consume it. And I mean, that's the crazy part. A breastfed baby, one of the most healthy creations on the planet. And they burn off fat so quick. I mean, you watch like a chunky baby and like overnight, they burn that fat because it's brown fat, not yellow fat. It's the healthy fat. And so I said, I always teach how there's no difference. Like, as we get older, it's like we still need that saturated fat for collagen health and bone health and all the amazing metabolic processes in our body. So once again, singing your praises, Kelly, you're just crushing it right now. It's so needed to teach this stuff. I wanted to ask you this because just getting along the lines of like quick tips and stuff. Do you find yourself in the biohacking realm sometimes? Like, do you wear the blue light blocking glasses? Do you try and jump into saunas whenever you get a moment? Like, what's your take on all that?
I love infrared saunas. There's a place on Main Street in Santa Monica that has one, like a clear light version, which looks like a real sauna, and I sweat a lot, and I love that. And that's something I'll do on like a Sunday if I'm feeling like I need an extra sweat, but I need the calm, and I love to read like a traditional magazine and something like that. I do have blue blocking glasses, but I've noticed a real change. Like I can get sleepy on my couch if I'm watching Netflix with my husband, and then get up and go into our bedroom, and I used to take my phone with me, and I might pop on Instagram or, you know, Twitter or something, like snagging news bites or anything, and I'm wide awake and I'm up for an hour and 90 minutes after that. And it's like, I know that effect on my body. And so it's something where I finally figured it out, but I just like can't take my phone to bed with me. And if I'm on the computer after dark, I throw those glasses on. I just noticed a super big difference in how quick I'm able to fall asleep. So I'm into that. I have acupressure mats, which I love. I think that those are amazing.
You mean like
I love foam rolling
with the little like bumps in them?
Plastic spikies. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Those are great. Foam rolling. I have yoga tune-up balls, but that's, you know, these are all things that I like have around, whether I'm in and out of the practice of doing these things all the time, kind of ebbs and flows. And I think I get reinvigorated to do things, not to say that I'm super ADD, but I can be all over the place and normally being pulled in the direction of my clients. But, you know, I would say my personal, the things that aren't ever going to go away is like, I get up, I like to do some type of a workout, like walk, go to yoga, go to spin. It's my time. And I normally have a smoothie, or like, very rarely, but like occasionally I'll have like scrambled eggs with like, but I'm having breakfast and I'm kind of having that coffee with my husband, and like that's my moment. Like that's something that I protect that time. And then sometimes the day goes everywhere, but I don't know if I would consider myself a biohacker as much as I would consider myself like I use the tools. Like I know how to use the tools that are out there for me. And that might mean I'm having a bulletproof coffee because our brunch is at 11 and I've been up since 7 and I'm going to be super hungry, you know, and I like to have all these things in my toolbox. Like I don't like to subscribe because it does make me feel pulled in a direction to be perfect or not do it at all. And I just do better with consistency. Yeah.
What's something that you think about that helps you maintain high performance in your life?
Well, I was really lucky in the fact that my parents put myself and my younger sisters in soccer, and we all played pretty competitively. So I know what it feels like to use my body in a way that I'm completely exhausted, I'm drenched in sweat, my heart is racing, and to know that I can do it. I think that was a lesson that I was taught young and you know, at a young age, and it's really served me in my adulthood. Like I know when I'm out of shape. I know in a workout class that I can push myself harder than I'm pushing myself. And I think that helps me stay at high performance. It's also like a little bit of a competitive nature that I have with myself that I know, you know, I know that I used to be able to play 5 or 6 soccer games in a weekend on a tournament and be fine. And if I can't get through a 60-minute berries class, like there's a problem, you know? So I don't know. When I think about having kids, and you have 3 girls, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm one of 3 girls.
Okay.
And,
Awesome.
My dad treated us like little boys. He was like, let's go camping, and you go surfing, and you play soccer, and you can go snowboarding. So we were always just kind of like thrown out into the wild. And I think that's honestly like the biggest gift my parents gave me. I think nature and like using your body and feeling strong in your body just makes you confident in life.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot. I mean, that's so true. Cause you can always anchor yourself back to, you know, what you used to do, the way you used to perform. And then, you know, obviously like all of that has to do with the mind. And I just love that whole perspective of mind over matter. Like, I mean, I know that phrase is often overused, but it is so true. Even when I go and do workouts, I often get asked, why do you go to the gym? Why do you engage, in activity and fitness? And really it's more for my mind. It's more for my spirit than anything, because I know that if I can, because for me, at least, I'm constantly fighting the flesh, and, we're constantly fighting like, hey, do I choose the nasty, dirty food over the clean food? Do I choose, to kind of like binge watch, not say there's nothing wrong with binge watching. I mean, there's times for binge watching, but when you're going about your day, ready to like hit it, get it done and be productive, there's a part of you that's, kind of saying, hey, let's relax and take it easy. And there's other part of you that's like, hey, we can push over this mountain. And when I come back to that mindset, I always come back to my workouts and say, hey, I can push it because, I'm able to physically, do something in the gym. So I know my mind is capable of it. That's really cool. What are you passionate about, Kelly, that's as an entrepreneur that our heroes listening could benefit from?
That's a great question. I'm obviously passionate about the nutrition, but seeing change in other people is really important to me. There were a few people early in my career that I had to fire because I was so emotionally devastated by their inability to commit and see the changes that I knew were possible in their body and in their mind and in their soul. And so for me, it's like coming from a place of cancer and genetics and being in technology sales, basically, like I was in training, like I would train the doctors, they would use the products, like I was on a quota, I had to teach them, they had to incorporate it, they had to use it, they had to see results. It was like this whole process, and that's what I see with my clients. And so for me, it's like I want tangible results that someone can hold on to, because there's something, so many times people come to me and they're like, I did this diet and I did that diet and I tried this and it didn't, and everything is like a failure story. Mm-hmm. And I really think that can really kill someone's confidence. And so I'm so passionate about my clients seeing results, and I'm so passionate about people believing there's a chance that this time it could be different, because there's such a difference in a client that confidently believes in themselves versus someone who's self-sabotaging because they think they're a failure.
Yeah. Wow. That's huge right there. Are you reading any books right now that you'd like to emphasize, or something that's really speaking to you right now in your life?
You know what? I'm going to give my friend Max Lugave a shout out right now. He wrote a book called Genius Foods.
He wrote
a book called Genius Foods. Yeah. And he sent me a pre-order, like it's called a galley. It goes out to like press people. And he sent me one, which I was like so honored that he did. But I will tell you, I haven't read a book, and it's so dense in scientific information. I haven't read a book like that in a really long time, where I felt the need to get out a highlighter and a pen and take notes and put things into practice and look up the studies he was referencing. And I totally nerded out on it. And it's probably the best book that I've read since Grain Brain, when that came out from Dr. Perlmutter like 5 years ago.
Wow.
And it's all about brain health, and I'm into it. So you should definitely check it out. Okay,
I will. Genius Foods. And by the way, everything that Kelly is referring to out there, guys, as you know, will be in the show notes. So no worries there. We'll put Genius Foods. It's with an S, right? Genius Foods?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If you could pick one action step for our listeners to take from our conversation, what would it be?
I would say jump on my website or get on Amazon and buy the book Body Love, and just try to start your day with a Fab Four smoothie and see how it affects your energy throughout the day, see how it affects the choices you're making throughout the day, how it affects what you order for lunch. I'm a really big proponent of, instead of looking at the whole day and saying, I'm going to make this day perfect, what can you do every day that becomes a habit? Like, you put the effort in for 3 to 5 days or for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden it's a solid habit that you crave. And I think that can be just synergistically, like, it creates fireworks in the rest of your day. Instead of saying, I am going to control everything that goes in my mouth and everything that I do and check all the boxes today, it's like, how can you do something that doesn't take as much work, but you know the science, you know the biology, and then it really just cascades and throughout the rest of your day.
That's cool. That's really cool. So if people want to find out more about you, Kelly, obviously they can get your book, Body Love. By the way, I love the Live in Balance, Weigh What You Want, and free yourself from food drama. I love food drama. That's really cool. Where else can they go to learn more about you?
Yeah, so I have a lot of social media handles, from Facebook to Twitter to Instagram, and it's all at Be Well by Kelly. I also have a second book coming out in January. It will be Body Love Every Day, which is a deep dive into different lifestyles using the Fab Four formula. So from on the go to domestic goddess to red carpet, secrets to vegan vegetarian. It's really going to go even deeper and be more of like a tool for people to access grocery lists and quick tips and stuff like that. So lots to come from me in the future.
Very cool. Well, we'll have to have a future conversation about that book as well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough, Kelly, for coming on and just always, coming with everything you got and giving it your all and everything that you do. And once again, like we talked about in the beginning of the call, putting your whole heart into what you do. It's practitioners like you that, truly are changing the world and putting knowledge out there, true knowledge that not only is going to, benefit you and your practice, but also is going to empower others to take their health by the horns and really apply what you're teaching in order to succeed in life and succeed in business and succeed in relationships. Because truly, not just coming from me as a practitioner, but just like in general, I was taught from a very, very young age, like health is the core of everything that we are. And I know that you would agree with that. So thank
Absolutely.
You so much. Yeah, I really appreciate your time coming on.
Such a pleasure. It was a pleasure to meet you and a really fun combo. So
It was. Thanks again to everybody out there. Thank you so much for coming on and spending a little bit of time with us. Very thankful for you and grateful for you. Have a rocking day. We'll see you next time. Hey, World Changer. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Do you desire to gain an unfair competitive advantage in life? Do you want more energy, focus, and clarity to add more life to your years and years to your life? I can almost hear your answer coming through my headphones. A resounding yes. If that's the case, you can go to superhumanentrepreneur.com/hack in order to get your free high performance hack guide. That's www.superhumanentrepreneur.com/hack. My mission is to help activate high performance among 10 million entrepreneurs and their families within the next 10 years. If you're loving the content you're hearing, you can partner with me on this mission by simply leaving a review on iTunes. If you do this now, I'd very much appreciate it. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to giving you even more high performance value next time.